Do you remember the NES commercials back in the late 80s? The gray box sitting next to the TV. The gray zapper. Rob the robot destroying your TV. I remember those commercials vividly because while my friends were talking about getting farther in The Legend of Zelda, all I could do is sit there and imagine what it would be like to finally have an NES of my own. That was me as a kid. I always wanted one, always asking, and every year the answer was the same. I'm sorry, son, we can't afford it. Back then, if you didn't get a console, that was it. There were no price drops, no sales, and in my house, it was never that simple. If you missed your window, you didn't just miss a console, you missed being part of the conversation. In this episode of A Look Back at Gaming, I want to share a personal story. The Christmas I finally got an NES. So grab your Jolt Cola and let's hit the throttle to the gaming wasteland. My stepfather was completely against video games. He believed they ruined your mind, that kids should be outside playing instead of sitting in front of a TV. To him, video games were a waste of time. I did have one console, an Atari 2600. It's the Darth Vader one. But even that came with strict rules. I was only allowed to play it for 1 hour a day, even on weekends. The mess up part is that if I had other kids come over, they could play as long as they wanted. They were rough with the joystick and eventually it broke. When that happened, I was blamed. I waited months for a replacement joystick, but my mom said she'd save up for one. But that money always seemed to disappear. Eventually I boxed the Atari up, put it back in its original packaging, and shoved it under my bed. I couldn't really play it anymore anyways. To pass the time, I started reading Choose Your Own Adventure books instead. One night, my stepfather was watching old westerns when a Sears commercial came on. And there it was.
What will you find at the Ames Super Toy Sale? Vicious turtles. Troubled waters. A block party. A creature feature. For monster savings on Nintendo game cartridges, come to the Ames Super Toy Sale. Where else but Ames could you get great prices on Nintendo and
sitting ducks?
The NES, Rob the Robot, the games. The graphics looked unreal compared to what I had grown up with. Seeing Adventure on the Atari next to an NES was like night and day. That was the moment I knew this was a console I wanted more than anything. I asked my mom again and again. The answer was no. Kept doing my chores, chopping wood, mowing the lawn, hoping it would change something. It didn't. One day after school, I reached under my bed to pull the Atari box out. I just wanted to look at it. It wasn't there. I asked my mom where it was, and she told me my stepfather had given it away to a relative overseas because I wasn't playing it anymore. That moment broke something in me. I stopped talking. I stopped eating much. I stopped caring about school, about books, about anything. I remember sitting in my room staring at my RoboCop 3 poster, crying. When my stepfather heard me, he called me a crybaby and told me that when I grew up and got my own job, I could buy my own things. My mom argued with him that night. I could hear it from my room. She told him he had no right to give away a gift. He said it was my fault for not taking care of the joystick. I remember her saying, "My son takes care of his toys." I had never heard her stand up to him like that before. Still, nothing changed. That's when I started spending time at my Aunt Betty's house. She lived nearby, and one day I showed up while she was making Christmas wreaths. She took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I had lost weight. I didn't look like myself. She stopped what she was doing, sat me down, and asked what happened. I told her everything. She said, he didn't have the right to give that away. A gift is a gift. She made me one of her famous chili burgers, and I sat on the couch petting her Pomeranian dog, Mischief. While sitting there, I noticed a newspaper ad on the table. NES games. Oh, it had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Blaster Master, Zelda 2, and then Ninja Gaiden. The screenshot stopped me cold. It looked like Castlevania, but with a sword. I couldn't stop staring at it. I was also a fan of Sho Kosugi's ninja movies like Revenge of the Ninja, so this game hit me immediately. I told my aunt not to buy me anything. She didn't have much. She had land, a small house, but no running water. She held water in jugs. The bathroom was an outhouse. Those wreaths were how she paid for groceries and electricity. I didn't want her spending money on me. She just smiled and told me not to worry. Christmas morning came. I expected clothes, like every year. When it was my turn to open the gift, I opened the box and immediately saw the orange zapper on the packaging. It was an NES action set, 2 controllers, the zapper, the Super Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt. I couldn't speak.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I could play with.
Mattel's Nintendo Action Set is your game system with control deck, controllers, light gun, and game pack for only $184.87. Plus great games like Super Mario Bros. 2, $64.99, Punch-Out, $59.99, and The Adventures of Link, just $62.97 at Toys R Us.
I want to be a Toys R Us kid.
That's when my stepsister, Tammy, told me she and my mom pitched in together. She said when I heard what Dad did, I wanted to make sure he couldn't take this one away. And then I opened my aunt's gift. Wow, it was Ninja Gaiden. She said she wanted to buy the console herself, but she knew she couldn't. So she made sure that I had at least one game, and one he couldn't give away.
Like a ghost in the moonlight, the ninja warrior stalks his prey. Unseen, unheard, and unnoticed. Mission accomplished. The final battle begins. Ninja Gaiden for Nintendo from Tecmo. Coming soon, more hard-to-beat action. Tecmo Bad News Baseball.
The NES stayed at her house. That was the deal. And honestly, that made it even more special. I remember hooking it up, holding the controller in my hand, thinking how perfect it felt, especially being left-handed. Ninja Gaiden was brutally hard, but I didn't care. I played for hours. I got better. I was happy again. That Christmas saved something in me. I'll never forget my late mom. I'll never forget my stepsister Tammy. And I'll never forget my late Aunt Betty, the one who protected that joy when I couldn't. Years later, I found myself saving up to give my own son that same feeling. I filmed him opening his Christmas gift, not because of the console itself, but because I wanted him to remember that moment the way I remembered mine. That's when I realized how much the NES Christmas shaped who I became. Alright, I want to just kind of touch up on something here real quick. This is the exact NES cartridge I got. Ninja Gaiden. My mom had written down my name. It says Michael on it. So, yeah. I still have it. I never sold it. And for those of you wondering, yes, this is my original NES that I got for Christmas. I never ever sold. I'm so glad I didn't bring it with me in the Navy. Otherwise, I probably would have traded this for something. It just stayed at home at my mom and stepfather's place. So I still have it, and it's being passed down to my son. I did fix it, but it's too tight in there, so I might have to get another part. The game won't run because how it's seated in there. So I still got to work on it to make it work. But other than that, it does work. It just, the part where you put the cartridge in, it needs to be replaced again. So still glad I still have my original. And also, I wanted to wait to shoot this video because I wanted to capture that game, or not the game footage, but my son's gift that he was opening. He got that PS3. So that's why this video is kind of late. I was supposed to have this out by Christmas, but it's fine. I want to kind of share some gifts I got. Just two. Remember those books? The Choose Your Own Adventure books? This is one of them I ordered and I got. This was my Christmas gift. And lo and behold, this was my favorite. The first one I've ever read. And I managed to snag this. So I rented, or not rented, but got this from the school library before. And it's a really good book. I can't believe I got another childhood thing from the past. And then something I've always wanted to have, but we were just too poor to get. Retro Man Randy Savage will probably appreciate this. Air Jordans. Right there. Never owned these shoes before. Never had Nikes. I always had some sort of knockoff shoes when I was growing up. I think the only name brand shoes I had were British Knights. Those were the only shoes. And I think it's only because my mom had found them over at Goodwill. But yeah, these shoes are so awesome. So these are my Christmas gifts. I want to kind of share those with you. Always wanted these when I was a kid, and I'm finally glad I got this. Along with my Choose Your Own Adventure book. And I do plan on reading this. Or do plan on reading this again. Really stoked. And then, of course, I plan on playing this again too. I didn't get to play it on Christmas, but I definitely plan on playing it tonight. Before I go, dang, that's good. I want to thank my Retro Warrior Knights, the people who help keep this journey alive. Thank you to Mr. Postal, Retro Man Randy Savage, Mike's Gaming Gala, and Off Grid Arcade. Your support genuinely means more to me than you know, and I'm proud to have you riding alongside me through the gaming wasteland. Now I want to hear from you. Did you get an NES for Christmas? What was your first game you remember playing? Let me know down in the comments. Take care, Retro Warriors, and remember, gaming is your road to adventure.